The financial independence content you can find online is almost entirely retrospective. Someone made it, they quit their job, or crossed some threshold that meant they could credibly say, I did it. And then they filmed a video about how. But what's missing is the middle part. The years between deciding to build toward financial independence and having anything to show for it. The period that looks completely different from everyone else's life. Now, that's the part I want to talk about, because that is the part I'm in, and I think it's the part most people are in. And most people quietly wonder if their version is too slow to be working. It is working. The boring part is the working part. Let me show you what I mean. So, here is what a week of building toward financial independence actually looks like for me right now. On Monday evenings, I check my investment accounts. Market is down slightly. I do nothing. I close the app. On Tuesday, there is an automatic contribution that goes into an index fund. I don't even see it happen, it just does. On Wednesday evening, I write the script for this video. I publish my previous video. I check analytics briefly. Small numbers, nothing dramatic. I close my laptop. On Fridays, I review my monthly budget and maybe adjust one thing in there, but move on. And on the weekend, I do nothing financial. Perhaps I go for a run, I read something, just having an ordinary life. And that's it. That's the week. No visible evidence that anything is accumulating. And yet, something is. The contributions compound. The content library grows by one video. The savings rate inches toward the target, and each individual week, produces almost nothing measurable. But each week is also irreplaceable. The specific difficulty of the early stage is not the work. The work can be done, right? The difficulty is the invisibility. As human beings, we're not well calibrated for slow and invisible progress. We're wired for feedback, for having a clear signal that the effort we're putting in is producing results we can see. So the early stage of building wealth and income streams, it provides kind of none of that. So your index fund balance doesn't feel meaningfully different with another $500 in it. Perhaps your YouTube channel doesn't feel meaningfully different with another 50 subscribers. Your savings rate, same thing, right? But here is what makes this particularly difficult. The content that exists about financial independence is almost entirely from the point at which the progress became visible. When someone posts their the net worth update, it's because the number is interesting enough to post. Nobody posts the boring stuff, like the monthly net worth went from 11,000 to 11,400, which really doesn't show everything what that building wealth looks like and what real life looks like. So the absence of visible progress is not evidence of no progress. It is just evidence that we're in the early stages. Now here's the reframe I keep coming back to. Boring is not what you endure until financial independence becomes interesting. Boring is actually the thing, all of it. So compounding, whether it be money or some skills or other stuff, it requires consistency over time. And it's repetitive, right? So the 101st contribution to an index fund, they are identical, right? The 45th video feels similar to maybe the 15th. But that's the process. And the dramatic moments in financial independence content, they're the visible surface of thousands of invisible weeks that preceded them. But what do people film? The exciting stuff, right? They don't film the boring stuff. Now, what this means practically, the correct response to a boring week of financial building is not a way to make it more exciting, but it's to recognize that you completed exactly the boring stuff you had to complete, and then move on to the next week. Having a boring week is a win. It might not just look like that at that point of time. Now, there are three specific things I do each week that might feel like nothing, but they're not nothing. So, firstly, automatic contribution. Every month, a fixed amount leaves my account and goes into investments without my involvement. I don't feel or see it happen. There is no moment of decision from me, no friction or no satisfaction. It just happens. And across years, these automatic transfers are the majority of the wealth being built. So the invisibility is what's supposed to happen. And removing the decision removes the risk of me postponing the decision, right? Now, second, the published video. 1 video a week added to my YouTube channel. Each one feels small, but after a year, there's gonna be a lot of videos, right? About 52 videos, and that's some work. And it's also pieces of content the algorithm has had time to index and test, and hopefully just showing it to people. So whilst one video is maybe nothing, then the practice of putting out 1 video per week is everything. And third one I do is the savings rate check. Again, not because moving the number from maybe 19 to 20% is transformative, but because the monthly check is a mechanism by which I can control things a bit. The savings rate that stays at 19 instead of maybe slipping down to 15 is worth more over a decade than any single optimization. So it's good to see the percentage I'm saving. Now, being honest about what the invisible stage actually feels like. I believe everything I've said about boring being the mechanism. I believe that the boring weeks are the work. I also believe that invisibility is temporary and progress can happen slowly in the background. But I still have weeks where I open the spreadsheet, look at the numbers, and feel kind of let down. Am I doing enough? Is this actually going anywhere? And to be honest, I don't think that feeling will go away. I think I will just get better at recognizing it for what it is. It's not evidence that my systems are failing. It's just evidence that maybe I get bored and want some more excitedness. But this is the early part. The early part can be boring before the numbers become interesting enough to post about it somewhere. And that part is where most people are. It's where I am, and it's normal to find it difficult. Now, homework time. Perhaps keep a 1-line weekly log. Just 1 line. Put on the date, the one thing that happened this week that counts. Maybe you made a contribution to your savings account. Maybe you published a video. Maybe you had a spending decision that was intentional. Just 1 line. Don't have to write for many sentences. The point of it is to have a record that the invisible weeks have existed and you've done something during those weeks. So if you look back at 6 months of these one-line entries, it's evidence that you showed up. And the showing up is the most meaningful part. So let me know how that goes. If you're in the early stage of either investing or building something, I want to say it. The ordinariness, the thing being ordinary, let's say, it's not a sign that you're doing it wrong, it's just a sign that you're doing it. The interesting part, it will come, but you're in the important part right now. Okay, well, let me know if you can keep up the one-line writing, if it's something that will motivate you or not. Both are fine. Okay, and I will see you next week in the next video. Bye!